If you thought Jujutsu Kaisen Modulo was done revealing its secrets, think again. What began as a mysterious alien subplot has now become the emotional core of the story. Chapter 9 takes us deep into the past, exposing the truth behind the Simurians, the lie that started a war, and the sacrifice that forever changed Cross and Maru. Then Chapter 10 shifts everything into the present. Decisions are made, lines are crossed, and the future of both humans and Simurians hangs on a single choice. And just when things couldn't get any bigger, Yuji is finally confirmed to be alive. So if you want to understand how Modulo reached this point and why these two chapters changed the direction of the entire series, let's break down chapters 9 and 10. Chapter 9 opens with a surprisingly wholesome flashback. A younger Yuka is chatting with her friends when they let a secret slip. Tsurugi has a crush on a girl named Mizuho. Yuka's eyes light up instantly. Her friends quickly warn her, "Don't tell anyone." Yuka nods, then immediately runs home. To her, "Don't tell anybody" just means telling someone who can't talk, so she goes straight to Panda. Still believing Panda is just a stuffed toy, Yuka treats him like a secret diary, happily spilling everything about Tsurugi's crush. Later, during a routine cleaning duty at the cursed warehouse, Tsurugi is working alone. Suddenly, Panda speaks. "So, what do you like about Mizuho?" Tsurugi freezes and turns around. The scene cuts there, leaving Tsurugi completely stunned and us laughing. But that lighthearted moment doesn't last long, because Chapter 9 immediately pulls us back into the present, right after the tragedy that ended the previous chapter. The narrator begins by explaining one of the most important aspects of Simurian biology, the third eye. A Simurian's third eye is not just an organ, it is the source of their Rolo Luca, their version of cursed energy. Most Simurians shed tears from their third eye only twice in their entire lives, once at birth and once at death. But the Remelians are different. They are the only tribe whose third eye sheds tears when a Kalyan dies, and that gift comes with a terrifying price. Crying from the third eye places extreme stress on the brain, to the point where it can cause permanent damage, or even death. Soon after, the Remelian elder gathers the villagers. He delivers devastating news. The Deskunte chief's daughter has been killed by a Kalyan, and Deskunte has placed the blame entirely on the Remelians, accusing them of provoking the beasts into attacking. As punishment, Deskunte demands three things: 90% of Remelian territory, complete control over the canal, and if they refuse, war. The Remelians are furious. Everything they built, everything they sacrificed for, is being taken away in an instant. Then the elder reveals Deskunte's alternative, a duel, a traditional Simurian method of settling disputes. Each side chooses one champion. The two fight one-on-one. If Deskunte wins, they take the land and the canal. If the Remelians win, Deskunte must accept their counter-demands. Surprisingly, the village feels a sense of relief. Why? Because Dura once defeated Deskunte warriors in a tournament, even when the matches were rigged against him. The Deskunte warchief himself fought in that tournament, and yet Dura still won. The villagers erupts, cheering him on. "You're the strongest Simurian. You've got this, Dura." But Dura doesn't share their confidence. He reminds them that many of Deskunte's most powerful warriors never participated in that tournament. Cross then asks the question no one wants to hear. "Can't we refuse the duel?" The elder answers coldly. Refusing the duel is the same as losing it. With no other option left, Dura steps forward. He accepts the duel on behalf of the entire Remelian tribe. Calm, confident, smiling. For a moment, he gives off Gojo-like vibes. When the duel day arrives, the Remelians freeze in fear. The Deskunte champion enters the arena. His presence alone terrifies everyone. The champion is revealed to be Dura. Cross's body locks up. Maru begs Dura to run, but Dura steps forward calmly. Before the fight begins, Dura speaks to Dura, not like an enemy, but like an old friend. That's when the truth is revealed. Dura's sister is being held hostage. He's being forced to fight to the death. Dura looks conflicted. Broken, he admits it quietly. "They ordered me to kill you." Dura smiles. He tells Dura not to worry about the outcome, because right now, that's not what matters. Then Dura adds one thing. "I do have one request though." Dura tells something to Dura, and he agrees with it. Dura then turns to the crowd and reveals the truth behind the first war. The war was never religious. The Kalyans were never the cause. The real reason was Mol. Mol is a rare resource that stores Rolo Luca, and it exists only in Remelian land. Deskunte invaded Remelia to steal Mol, disguising the war as a religious conflict. Since then, Deskunte has grown powerful by exploiting it. Religion was only a weapon, an excuse. Dura pleads with them. Different tribes may exist, but the same pulse flows through all of them. He asks them to respect the Remelian way of life, to help them, to treat them as neighbors. Before he can finish, the Deskunte chief orders Dura to begin the duel, and in a single, overwhelming strike, Dura kills Dura. The Remelians collapse in grief. Maru tries to attack Dura, but Cross stops him. Maru accuses Dura of holding back and disrespecting Dura. Dura responds quietly. He didn't want to damage Dura's face. We then learn the truth. Dura and Dura were once best friends, pushing each other to become stronger warriors. Since Dura hates attention, no one knows how strong he was. Only Dura knows his strength. At Dura's funeral, tears fall from his third eye. Cross remembers Dura's explanation of the word neighbor, but now, with Dura gone, he finds the idea impossible to believe. That night, the Remelians gather around a fire. Their future looks hopeless. They have lost everything. Suddenly, Dura returns, accompanied by another individual. He tells them Dura left something behind. He leads them to a pit near the canal. Inside is a massive stockpile of mall, unearthed secretly by Dura while building the canal. Dura never told anyone. He hid it so Deskunte would never find it. This was his true plan. Remembering Dura's words, Maru touches the mole. It begins to glow, and so does he. He reaches for Cross. When Cross takes his hand, Rolaluka erupts from both of them. The surrounding mole rises into the air. Jabaloma realizes the truth. These aren't ordinary mole minerals. They're something far purer. Maru makes a decision. He proposes that the Remelians leave Simuria and search for a new home beyond the sky. Dura steps forward. He promised Dura he would protect the Remelians, and he intends to keep that promise. As the mole gathers and transforms into the spaceship Nanax, Maru declares, "We'll search for our neighbors beyond the sky." Chapter 9 of Jujutsu Kaisen, Modulo, comes to an end. A chapter about loss, truth, and the beginning of a journey that will change everything. Chapter 10 opens at Jujutsu headquarters, where a committee of high-ranking sorcerers is reviewing footage of Maru's fight with Masaki Takeda. One committee member raises a serious concern. Should Simurians really be allowed this much autonomy on Earth? Usami responds calmly. He explains that Maru only engaged Masaki after the two sorcerers assigned to escort him were already incapacitated. In other words, Maru didn't recklessly start the conflict. He stepped in when there was no one else left to stop Masaki. But another committee member pushes back even harder. He argues that Maru's attempt to harm Tsurugi should automatically classify the Simurians as a threat under Article 7 of the Jujutsu regulations. But Usami doesn't panic. Instead, he explains something crucial. That fight was completely legal under the Hikari provision. The Hikari provision allows contracted sorcerers to engage in paid or sanctioned combat, even if it results in serious injury. Anticipating political backlash, Usami had already registered Maru as a contracted sorcerer, which means the fight was legal, and no charges can stick. When accused of deliberately siding with the Simurians, Usami shuts the argument down. Another committee member suggests locating Yuji Itadori as a deterrent, someone powerful enough to keep the Simurians in check. Usami immediately rebukes this idea. He warns that using Yuji as a political weapon would endanger Japan and humanity itself. With that, Usami leaves the meeting. As the discussion ends, the chapter drops one of its biggest reveals. We see Yuji, not in a flashback, not in a dream, not as a memory. He's walking through a crowded public area wearing a hoodie, blending in like a normal person. The narration states clearly, "Our top priority is locating Yuji Itadori." That's the confirmation. Yuji is alive. Yuji exists in the present timeline, and Jujutsu headquarters is actively searching for him. What makes this shocking is that Maki died of old age. Yuta is gone. This is a future timeline, yet Yuji looks unchanged. The most likely explanation? Yuji was Sukuna's vessel, so something altered his body. His aging may have stopped, or he may have become functionally immortal. Nothing is confirmed yet, but the implications are massive. The scene shifts to the Simurian spaceship Nanax, where the council prepares for a second vote on whether to coexist with humans or go to war. On the way to the council chamber, Osuki vents his frustration to Boro, criticizing the voting system. Boro is confident the outcome will still favor war. Osuki openly states his desire to invade Japan and take resources, just as the Deskunte tribe once stole from them. Elsewhere, Cross meets Jabaloma and asks why he still hasn't cast his vote. Jabaloma reveals the truth. He intends to vote with Cross. Together, their combined 20 votes are enough to overturn the pro-war majority. Cross is stunned. As the voting moment approaches, Cross reflects on his conversations with humans, Yuka's words, Tsurugi's trust, and most importantly, Dura's. He remembers Dura's belief that the future is built by those willing to lay the first brick. The vote concludes. Jabaloma tallies the results and announces the final decision. The Simurians will coexist with humans. He outlines the first steps: diplomatic discussions with Japan, cultural exchange programs, and peaceful integration efforts. Osuki explodes in disbelief. He points out that both Cross and Jabaloma previously opposed coexistence. Cross responds calmly. They weren't opposing it, they were thinking. Osuki then argues the vote is invalid because Maru wasn't present. Cross counters immediately. Maru supported coexistence from the very beginning. His vote was never in doubt. Desperate, Osuki turns to Dura for support. But Dura sides with the council. He reminds them, war can begin at any time, but peace only gets one chance. Afterward, Jabaloma tells Cross he respects him. Cross dismisses it quietly, saying he's simply tired of endless conflict. Later, Usami, Tsurugi, and Yuka meet with Jabaloma and Cross. For the first time, they hear the full truth. About the Kaleans, about the Simurian refugee crisis, and about why the Simurians were forced to flee their homeland. Yuka then asks something quietly. Kaleans eventually die, right? So every time a Kalean dies, the Remelians. Jabaloma gently interrupts her. Kaleans are immortal. They don't die from age or natural causes, they can only be killed. Usami proposes something simple as their first cultural exchange, a dinner party. Jabaloma accepts and says he'll send Maru and Cross to help with the preparations. Usami then turns to Yuka and Tsurugi. Can I count on you two as well? Both of them freeze. Huh? Tsurugi quickly panics and says, we can't cook anything fancy. Usami simply says, don't worry, we'll give you all the guidance you need. And just like that, we're introduced to Yuka and Maru's kitchen. Yuka, Tsurugi, Cross, and Maru are all assigned to help prepare the meal together. As they review the menu, Yuka wonders if Simurians have any dietary restrictions related to Kalyan worship. Cross reassures her that Simurians eat livestock and fish, nothing unusual. Yuka notices something missing from the menu, flour-based dishes. She mentions takoyaki. Maru immediately lights up. He excitedly declares his love for it. Inspired, Yuka decides they're throwing a takoyaki party. As Yuka and Maru discuss fillings, Tsurugi shows Cross a picture of a takopa. Cross stares at it in pure concern. And with that oddly wholesome moment, Chapter 10 of Jujutsu Kaisen Modulo comes to an end. Chapters 9 and 10 show us two sides of Jujutsu Kaisen Modulo. One is built on loss, on lies disguised as religion, on a man like Dura who believed in neighbors and paid for it with his life. And the other is built on hesitation, on people choosing to stop, think, and try something different, even when war would be easier. Cross didn't suddenly forgive humanity. He didn't forget the past. He simply chose not to let hatred decide the future. At the same time, a much bigger shadow is moving. Yuji Itadori is alive, unchanged, and sooner or later, every path in Modulo leads back to him. Whether these choices lead to coexistence or to another inevitable collapse is something only the future chapters will answer. Let me know what you think about these chapters in the comments, and I'll see you in the next chapter breakdown.